So what are some of the physical indicators of narcissistic abuse on a victim? Personally, when I was going through my marriage with my narcissistic ex, the covert narc, there are certain things that were happening in my body which I honestly in the beginning shut down. I muffled it, that inner intuition, that inner voice. I stuffed it down. I pushed forward even though my body was screaming alarm bells, not safe to proceed. Do not go forward, do not pass go, do not collect 200. My body was warning me in many ways. And the type of things that were occurring in me was, number one, eczema, which I still have here. Okay, so I started breaking out in rashes and eczema and itchiness everywhere. Okay, that was the first thing. The second thing is hair fall. My hair started dropping and dropping, and it was so thick and luscious and lustrous. The third thing that happened in my body that indicated to me that something was terribly wrong was constipation. So bowel movements were not happening. They were not flowing. My entire body had stifled itself and suppressed itself, and the whole flow had become quashed. It had become stifled and constricted. Very sick because of headaches, and it hurt to take deep breaths. I was in fight or flight, and I didn't even know it until I was, reviewing my symptoms. And what had occurred to me was that because my breathing was so shallow, like a rabbit, I was like a scared rabbit, always walking around on eggshells, trying to protect his very fragile emotional state so that he doesn't dysregulate and get upset and then scream at me, swear at me, take it out on me, walk out on me, abandon me, stonewall me, cuss me out, say denigrating, belittling, and horrendous things. So in order to stop that, my body was in fight or flight mode. I was becoming extremely drained and exhausted. So I really wanted to sleep all the time, and he would criticize how much I was wanting to sleep. He would get up next to me in the middle of the night and just stare at me with his big massive blue eyes, and I would feel like a nightmarish presence and just wake up and find this man staring at me. It wasn't a warm gaze, that a lover looks at his beloved with. No, it was like, why are you sleeping? It was a vacant, demonic look. It was very, very, very terrifying. I couldn't eat whatever I wanted. Everything that I like to eat, I was stopped from eating, and I was told not to eat. And every time I sat down to eat with him, he looked in my plate, scrutinizing what I was eating and the amount of what I was eating. So I was constantly afraid to satiate myself. I was constantly afraid to even enjoy food. He was a strong proponent of Sufism, and in his version of it, asceticism and abstention from pleasures of life was very important. And that, of course, he highlighted with food, yet he would scrutinize me, belittle me, and tell me not to eat or not eat too much, and criticize whatever I did in terms of food, yet then go off and buy McDonald's. So it was very contradictory. Effects on my body were that I was hungry, but I wasn't eating. I had stopped eating. I had lost my appetite eventually. And then the weeks following the divorce, or following him having discarded me and walking out on me, I was not able to eat for 2 to 3 weeks after that. I couldn't eat. I barely survived on tea and maybe a biscuit a day. In an entire 24 hours, that's all I would have. I could not put anything down my throat because of the trauma. Everything was locked up inside of me. My belly felt like it had a million knots, and the knots were made of cement. They felt heavy and constricted. My chest felt like there was a boulder on it. I could not take deep breaths. It really hurt to take deep breaths. I was shallow breathing. So my whole body and mind was not getting oxygenated sufficiently, which further exacerbated the feelings of fatigue and exhaustion. After he left, I couldn't function in daily life. I was wrought with anxiety, but I'm going to leave that for the mental effects of narcissistic abuse. In this video, I'm going to keep it the physical effects. So yes, to recap, there was constipation, eczema, hair loss, shallow breathing, fight or flight mode, panic attacks. That's, it's also bordering on mental effects. But when it's fight or flight, you can see that you have very little desire to interact with him. You kind of try every way possible to just avoid him. And then, the hypervigilance that comes from that, of course, I'm going to discuss in the next video on the mental effects and the psychological effects of narcissistic abuse. So do tune in for that. I will put the link up here. Many people have described them having a thyroid issue after suffering from narcissistic abuse. Women have suffered with irregular periods. They have suffered from cramps, incessant headaches, vomiting, diarrhea even. Everyone's body is different, so they will react to it differently. But they've had a lot of physical issues that had actually affected their hormones, and pimples, acne, flaring up of different kinds of topical skin ailments, and not to mention extreme gut issues. Anything that you can imagine being a gut issue will and can flare up. Extreme exhaustion because of the hypervigilance. And I will mention the hypervigilance in the mental effects video, but it lends itself to making you very tired. You're so scared and you're so on edge and uptight that everything in your body stiffens, becomes strained and uptight. You will feel a lot of strain in your shoulders and back and neck and your head. Deep breaths are something that I treasure now, and I hope that you find your healing through my videos. And if you would like more support on your narc abuse recovery, please click on the link below and I will show you exactly how I managed to work my way out of this and fight for my life, including putting on makeup, looking beautiful, because I was told that I should never wear makeup and I would never be beautiful. I should just wear a potato sack. So yeah, never give yourself up. Fight for your life. You are worth it. You are precious beyond measure. Your days on this earth are of a finite value. I want you to enjoy and live every single one of them outside of this abuse and this nightmare that you've experienced. So do click on my link below for the course that I've created to rise you like a phoenix from the ashes and raise you up and make you fly again into society as one of the most highly empathic women with self-esteem through the roof, so that you can help other people and pay it forward. Thank you so much. All my love. Assalamu alaikum and goodbye.